Oh, you want your headphones? I'm up here. You want to sit down there? Definitely use the microphone. Hmm. We got nothing coming through the. Well, no, it says it's got USB. Interesting. No sound. Smell good. Oh, well, let's get started. Okay. Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Let's try and diagnose what's going on with my audio. Um, well, YouTube says we're not even streaming. That's no good. Where are we? Set for live somewhere. Let's try it. We're not live on the show we're supposed to be on. Let's see if we're live somewhere else. Lee says there. Lee says hi, happy Sunday. So we're online. Question is, where? Yes, there. Oh, it made a fresh one because why not? Why set one up? Hold on, guys. Uh, let's how do I edit this thing? Because none of our settings turned on. It's got okay. That doesn't have black screen anymore, and it's not closed. I need to. I don't know if I can do it from here. Let's see. Let's get out of this, and then go content. No, you're not allowed to use the mouse. You know this. Uh, Nobody wants to hear you cry. Edit. Why don't you tell them about your day yesterday? Sorry about this. I actually had stuff ready to go at the last minute, and then the computer decided to do what it wanted to do. It's not the 17th, the 24th, as it says on the screen. Baby, what? Baby printer. I don't understand that. Oh, you see a baby on the Amazon thing. So let me want to turn on. Yeah, yeah. All right, so it's got at least some of the settings set right. Let's fix this, and then put the picture back on the show, and then we will get started. All right, so Lisa, you're precious. Turning my watch on and off. Okay. Hmm? You're welcome. I don't know what I did. Don't fall. All right, so now we need to put the picture, and then we need to change the screens to the ones that we're actually looking at today. Hey, hey, baby, hey, chill. Okay. Technology will not beat me, except for the sound not coming back to me. That's just not that it won't, not that it will win. There's just not time to fix it right now. So if we get anybody on screen, they'll either be coming through the speakers, or I'll find another way to get you guys into my headphones. Let's see. Everything says it's good. Let's go back to the control room and then change screens. All right, so get on over to presentation view. Oh, you want your headphones off? Is that good? Okay. Now, get into the control room and start talking about what's going on. You want down? Go. Okay. Tell mommy if you need a potty, okay? All right. One last thing. Sorry. I'm turning the fan on. Fan. Well, might as well turn the fan light on while we're at it. And then the fan. Okay. That's main view. I thought I hit presentation. I did not. So, first up, put the screen on the camera so that I can see what you see. First up, we've got great news for the land of MrSupercharger.com. Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy is asking if I got 12.3 yet. No, they pushed all the legacy cars over to 2024 builds, and 12.3 is only available on 2023 builds. So I get to be a salty legacy owner yet again. But we'll see what becomes of this. Everybody says it's good, but I'll evaluate it for myself when I see it, because I'm used to people saying, "Oh wow, it's amazing," blah blah blah, and it's like The Boy Who Cried Wolf. I mean, I'm sure it is better than anything that's come to date, but all the other descriptors, like it's so human-like, it did all this without me having to correct it. We'll see. Because even the ones that's just fusing praise, they still have admitted it's not quite there yet. I just don't know what that means. Like what's missing. But I'm excited to find out. All right, so MrSupercharger.com has this to say. Not Slayer Merritt. I'm MrSupercharger.com. The first Rivian customer to supercharge for the second time, now with plug-in charge. That's Ryan Hubert. And this kind of goes to what I was speculating on earlier when we knew that we needed software updates to the existing vehicles. Are you trying to plug in? Built in on the bottom, baby. We need software updates to the existing vehicles that join the Supercharger Coalition to get them on the Supercharger network. And what was weird to me was that you can't walk with those headphones on. You got a cord. You gonna sit with daddy? Or you gonna take the cord on? No. Just no to both. Okay, just don't walk with them on. You're gonna either rip them off your face or you're gonna fall down. Anyway, so the GM, I was thinking that they would be second because they were second to join up. However, we saw all the indications that Rivian was going to beat them to be in the second to turn on. And Patrick this week on What Drives Us pointed out that, did I think that GM was better at software than Rivian? And when you put it that way, no. I mean, have they got enough manpower and everything to have they got enough manpower and everything to actually develop something like that? Yes, but have they got the corporate culture to be able to pull it off? No. So when you put it in perspective, I did not expect Rivian to beat GM. I just didn't realize it was a free for all. It makes perfect sense that Ford was first because they're the first one on the market to transition. There's Aptera, but they're not on the market yet. And so this is exciting. We saw like we said, really, I said we saw the indications this was going to happen when Rivian was talking about what was in the upcoming update. And then we saw the update start to hit the vehicles, and we saw some folks go into the Tesla app and identify their Rivians as Fords, and they could supercharge without the Magic Dock, just using their adapter, or not their adapter because Rivian hadn't mailed them out yet, but using an adapter. Let's say that, an adapter. And I don't know if it was the Ford one or one of the third-party ones. And then it became official. They pushed the firmware, they made the announcement, and Rivian was second to the Supercharger network. So now we've got 2 down and many, many more to go. We still don't know what BMW's plans are because they just said that the new cars would come with it. And there's one other that has similarly useless transition plan, like the customers don't know what's going on. And then there's Stellantis. We'll see what they end up doing when they get a car with the port, since they clearly were not interested in either the superchargers or the thank you, either the superchargers or yes, baby, hi. They didn't want to participate like everybody else. And what was weird is they did promise adapters, so that's also going to change the story a little bit because they've got adapters. They've got their own network that they think is going to be able to magically rival the supercharger network in a year and a half. And there's just more to this story. Like maybe they just can't get their contract together. They can't form a complete agreement. But why be the only brand where the customers can't charge on the market? I'm not sure where they're going with that. So let's see. Mr. Electric Car Lunacy says the Aptera videos lately have been exciting, by the way. I've seen them publishing, but I haven't had the opportunity to actually watch them. I've been really busy at work. I've been coding doing some coding, staying up till like 3 and 4 in the morning every day this week, and oof, don't recommend that. All right, so I plan to watch them. What have we got next? Because that's exciting, and we knew it was coming, and now it's here. We don't need to highlight everything, computer. It's highlighting everything in my notes. All right, click here. This one is what? Why would you open it on this screen way over here? I gotta break my neck. Let's switch this back to the one that the people are looking at. Thank you. This one is not necessarily good news, but it is important to be aware of if you were in the market for, say, a Fisker, or if you have a Fisker, you can have an idea of what's going on with the company that built your car and is supporting you. Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says, Stellantis, we promise not to lift a finger for better charging. That's essentially what they were going for, but they did do all of this rah-rah to say that they've got their own network going. They just barely came out with a name for it the day that Stellantis made the announcement. It's got a name. We don't have any sites or any idea of how they're going to be laid out. We know it'll have a combo of JNX and CCS1. That's another area where they messed up. Like J1772 had that stupid unwieldy just standard name. You don't have a name for it. CCS 1 and 2 are just called CCS. Chatamo, apparently a Japanese joke, and you had the Tesla plug didn't need a name before this, but then we called it Max when they called it Max when they announced it. And if you have to put a J in it, fine, JNX. People probably will do it, but not a lot of people I hope will call it J3400. But at least that's easier, it's less cumbersome coming out of the mouth than 1772. But J3400. Just call it Nax or JNax, and we'll call it a day. But anyway, so they back to the point of Stellantis, as Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy was saying. They promised that their network will have whatever that funky name was. They'll have CCS1, and they'll have Nax, and they'll be partnered with Honda and a whole bunch of others. But we'll see what actually becomes of it, because their idea that this is going to be a rival to supercharging or any of the other networks that are okay. Yes, some of the smaller networks that are just not always online, you can rival them, but I don't see them rivaling uh, even Electrify America or ChargePoint in a year and a half. They've had decades of head start on you, or in the case of Tesla, a decade. 2012. Let's see. Eddie Lee says, I can talk. I can talk. Talking about Stellantis? Yeah, I can see that. Um, Oddly enough, the most informative Aptera video recently was on Kim Java's channel, where she takes an investor to the factory. I saw that one too. I didn't play it. I got like 3 seconds in, and then the baby called me away. Didn't realize it would be insured as a motorcycle. That I did gather, just because I've been following them back before the original bankruptcy, and that was something that was exciting to me. But at the same time, wherever I was at the time, I was wondering if I had to take the motorcycle test, because I didn't have a motorcycle and how that one would work. But It's kind of cool they kept that up, and it's an auto cycle. Some states and insurers do have a category for auto cycle, but if they don't, motorcycle. Uh, the other question I had back then was, would I need to wear a helmet? And I think things have progressed since then, and I'm still sure there's a state out there somewhere where you can be driving through, and if they want to be sticklers to it, you're not wearing a helmet inside the Aptera, they can get you for it. But I don't think anybody's going to do that. Uh, let's see. And okay, there we go. So, like I'm saying, I want to electrify all the things. So I don't want to see these makers come into financial troubles here. But we're looking at Fisker right now is not doing so well. They have paused the Ocean SUV amid a cash crunch, and we were talking earlier about them staring down bankruptcy. Bye bye, Moto. Have a good day. Just going for a walk with her new sunglasses. uh, Timothy says, "Greetings. Good to see you." Yeah. So, what more to say? We're gonna watch this thing happen, and hopefully, not everybody else who did us back in the early COVID, pre-COVID times, uh, goes out of business. It did seem risky at the time, but it was an option, and a lot of people made some money on it. But it wasn't really, in hindsight or foresight, the best move for these companies. It's a pain to have to go through the process to get to your IPO, but it seems to have been a more stable path than what we've seen from SPAC Mania. Or it could have been just like the .com bubble burst situation, but shorter and smaller, where, hey, this is the cool new trick, let's try it out. And then everybody who tried the new trick, kind of like the was it the PPP scammers? They're all finding out, hey, whoops. And what happened here? The screen just flipped on me. There we go. Let's see if I can push this button now. I cannot push the button now. I can start a poll, but I don't know what I'd poll you guys on. I would just ask you. Oh, that is kind of cool. Next time I have a question, I could do the poll. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so that's Fisker, and beware. And this thing opened up on the wrong window again. But that's okay. It was just another copy of a different Rivian Can Use the Supercharger story. Click in here. I'll move this over here somewhere. Lee, not Lee. Eddie says, so it's Fisker again, eh? And yep, it sure is. The first time you could kind of say, oh well, they who knew that having all your product out on the docks of New York right before a hurricane would be a bad idea, and then who knew that a little bit of salt water coming up, and I say a little bit, who knew that getting flooded with salt water on the dock that we were sitting on in New York would cause all of our product to catch fire? And uh, that one you could say, oh, well, it was just an unfortunate series of events, but this time it's all on Mr. Fisker and his wife, apparently, when you read the rumors and such. But I don't I don't know what the rumor is about his wife, other than that they are like she's like CFO, I guess. That's not so weird, except that they're a public company. If they were a private company, then it's totally normal. Husband and wife pairs do businesses all the time. All right, so this one came from Anders, and let's see what we're looking at here. Nicholas says, for the first time since the strike against Tesla in Sweden started almost 5 months ago, Swedish Tesla manager speaks to the media. This debunks all the lies that IF Metal have told you since October. And I had this on my screen before I realized I was getting into that project, and I never came back to it. So let's find out together. No one asked about collective agreements. Tesla Swedish manager, after 5 months of strike, says we will have Sweden's best-selling car this year. I've got a new feature where there's a dot right on the screen where the camera is, but the dot is bigger than the words. So I need to figure out how I need to read these with the dot being right in the middle of what I'm looking at because these words are small. And that's what I'll just look slightly below you guys. So for the first time, the Swedish management is now speaking out for Tesla after IF Metal strike. Our strike, our team is solution oriented and finds ways forward. I'm sorry, this text is too small. I guess I'm going to have to make it bigger again. Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says, isn't Fisker the guy who takes takes more in salary and bonuses than any other startup CEO? The company's out of money. How? How could this be? Who could have ever seen this happening? Yeah, whenever that happens, like we saw with the first iteration of Nikola, the company doesn't do so well. They were the very beginning of this wave of SPAC mania. Hmm. Maybe they all went to the same club, learned the same tricks from the same guru. So, first time Swiss management is now speaking out for Tesla after the strike. I think this is our only IF Metal story today. I didn't catch any others. We're here to stay, says Jen Stark at the Swedish subsidiary TM Sweden. The expansion in Sweden continues, most recently with its own damage repair shop. Oh, okay. So that same guy who was complaining that his grandfather got him into a collective agreement and how IF Metal's collective sympathy strike was bankrupting the company. Now Tesla is there to eat your lunch. Not that Tesla hasn't run collision shops elsewhere. They have several of them in the U.S., but this fixes that because if no Tesla employee is a member of this. Oh wait, no, this is not our last. It's not IF Metal. The next one there's another union story, but it's not IF Metal. They're called Metal, so you can obviously figure out it's IG Metal. We'll get to them in a minute. Yeah, so Tesla is now directly competing with the guy who's currently waylaid, except for those handful of really old cars that are completely undrivable, but yet didn't go through the Tesla shop. So like Tesla didn't like they get a wreck and then Tesla sent it out. They get in a wreck and the owner brought it in. It would work, but it has to be a really old car and undrivable. And I know really old in the Tesla context is not that long ago, but we're talking was it pre 2018, pre 2016? It was not a lot of cars. And but if you were one of those like 20 people who could be helped by that, it would get your car back on the road. And it's going to be more than 20, but wow. All right, so it's lunchtime at the Tesla Center in Segeltorp, Southwest Stockholm, and the first barbecue of the year is arranged by the staff of their own initiative. Sorry, let me move this up higher. Now they have a barbecue, service workshop. Sweden's head office here. Jen Stark, whose title is market lead for Tesla Motor Sweden, which can be described as the head of Sweden, cannot stress the team spirit enough. Sorry, I can read this. First time I'm seeing it, and then the structure is just a little different. We work closely with our employees. We've had a digital information meeting where we have asked everyone how everyone is doing, and they can also write in questions. Nobody asked about collective agreements. However, they want to know how they can help with different situations or different solutions in this situation, he said. It goes a little different when we get to IG Metal, but we're going to talk about that again as well. The dislike of collective agreements has put the American Electric Car Company at it's not just a car company, but whatever, at the center of the longest labor market conflict in Sweden since the 40s. IF Metal took up the strike weapon after several years of hopeless. I wonder if this is a translation situation. It could be. Hopeless attempts at to get the Tesla subsidiary in Sweden, TM Sweden, to sign what is described as the cornerstone of the Swedish model. I mean, that's what I've been told time and time again. Through collective agreements, unions and employers agree on conditions that cover everyone. That's not. I mean, that's how it works here, but that's not how I've heard it described there. Uh, The strike began almost 5 months ago on October 27th of 2023. 9 other unions have joined, and I don't know if they joined or if they were contractually strong-armed into it by IF Metal. Uh, when you look at how IG Metal responded when they were asked because they obviously didn't have any teeth to make them do it in Germany, of all places. They said, "Nah, it's immoral." Where was I? So 9 other companies. Dock workers are not unloading Tesla cars at the ports. Painters and electricians and construction workers are not doing what service centers, charging stations, and mail is not being delivered, which has stopped the usual process of delivering new license plates since Christmas Eve. Tesla waste is no longer being collected, to name a few of some consequences. Yeah. After a long silence from Swedish management, Jens Stark chose to give his first interview, and DI is allowed to interview the service center. Let's see. If we would have responded to all the requests from the union, we would not have been able to do anything else. I can see that. Uh, that is a technique and a tactic. But now we feel that it's time to present our image more clearly and also show how determined we are to continue this mission in Sweden to work for a transition towards sustainable energy, which is why Tesla exists as a company. Transition to electrical transportation for everybody, right? It is regrettable if the strike stops that development, says Jen Stark. Around 10 Tesla cars are in the workshop, and a group of technicians are working on them. I'm guessing this is the regular shop, just the maintenance shop, versus the collision shop. I don't know if it's a translation thing or just the way you guys call them over there, but there seems to be ambiguity between whether you're talking about a car repair shop or a collision repair shop, a body shop, if you will. And body shop is also kind of ambiguous because every car factory has a body shop, but colloquially, when we use the word body shop, we do mean a collision repair center. Uh, we've managed to keep both sales, delivery, and service organizations running as usual, says Jen Stark. There's some photos. All right. So I think it was a translation deal, and I apologize for my stumbling through that. So this is interesting to see that they're finally coming to the public on this. It's kind of anti-Tesla tactics. They usually just let people think what they want and say what they say. Very rarely do they actually go out to correct. Sometimes you see them do stuff on Twitter, X, and other times you'll see them. Occasionally they'll do cease and desists or sue, but generally they just seem to treat it as if it's noise and that people will see the truth and ignore it. But uh, as we've seen in the past, when they do speak up, it can influence opinion. All right, let's see. According to Tesla, the company's conditions are comparable to the collective agreement. Let's begin. Oh boy. All right, I will come back to this later, and we will continue on. I didn't realize it would be another article after the article. All right, so next we've got this one's exciting. The first Neuralink patient we told you about when they said it was done. Neuralink did a live stream with him, and he's over here controlling his computer with brainwaves, and he's a from the shoulders down paralyzed, so he's a complete quadriplegic and doesn't have the use of his limbs. And now he can use his computer again, among other things. But to start with, he can use the computer again. They do call it telepathy. I'm curious if that will be a function that you'll be able to communicate from your brain to either a computer interface or to another implant receiver, and just have kind of like Ghost in the Shell and have telepathic conversations. That would be phenomenal. But we'll see how it goes. He seems adjusted and happy, and he's enjoying the new functions. He does make sure to tell us in here that it's not perfect, and that the team is working with him every day. And I'm excited for him and to see where this goes. All right, next. talk about some more electric car stuff. Electric happened to be there on my tweets most of the time this week, like I said, because I wasn't able to keep up with all of them. U.S. battery storage smashes deployment records in Q4 of 2024. Let's see what we've got. I think I'm going to have to make that icon so that I can read through. Let me see if I can't do that now. All right, let's go to scroll down, change that to. I picked the one I did because it didn't make my eyes cross when I looked at it. Let's try circle. Circle might work. They have like crosses and dots, but the crosses and dots, it was like this. Let's try it out now. Can I read through that? I think that covers up more words, but at least I can kind of see the words behind them. Yeah, I can. No, I can't. Anything that's on the line, I can't see. Let's try cross. Cross is less obstructive, but now it's like crossed out some words, and the line is as thick as a line. So let's see. I don't think this other browser window I need to try another target. And they have one called Snap, which has a small cross and a square. And I don't feel cross-eyed looking at it. And they've got square, which I don't like. Now let's try Snap and then come back to the story. It still eats a word. Can I zoom in any more without making it fall off the screen? I can, I think, but that zoomed in the wrong window. That's not bad. We'll see what it looks like on the other sides. So the U.S. battery storage market shattered deployment records across all segments in Q4 2023 with a 101% increase from the previous quarter. Not bad. All right, so the U.S. battery storage sector, I don't know, it's kind of got a circle to go with the square. Let's see how it is. The U.S. battery storage sector saw it's covering up the number, 4285 megawatts, so 4.28. Oh, sorry, 4. That's not 8, it's a 3. It's like a vision test. 4.235 terawatts installed in Q4 2023, according to Woods and McKinsey. Interesting. Let's take a look at this chart. I do like the size. I don't know if I like the. That's so weird. It's got. It wasn't a trick. I'm seeing it now on the white. It's got the previous picture and the target. So I wonder if I can close that and bring it back. Turn that off. No, it's just a permanent feature now. I guess next time I restart the computer, unless I can restart the software. Let's see. Whoa. Let's quit the camera program. Yeah, I want to quit it. All right, so the target is gone, but the screen is still working. The camera's still working. Turn it back on. It's starting up. Ah, perfect. Whoa. I see what's happening. They outline the color with a black edge. And so the outline of the previous shape was there for whatever reason. All right, so we can see the quarterly storage deployments have gotten better. They had a little ups and downs, but this is nice. You still can't see my mouse on this program. 101% for quarterly storage deployments. And what does the bottom one represent in megawatt? So in power, and then a 99% improvement in megawatt hours of storage. Okay, I like it. Continuing on, now that I can't find my notebook because what I was clicking on everything. That was all my fault. Let's talk about Volkswagen. In the wrong window, of course. I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm gonna click over here and I'm gonna do it again. There it is. And then while that loads, I'm gonna close the room. Nope, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm just gonna open up the console again. All right, so hop on the Magic Bus. Volkswagen debuts a souped-up all-wheel drive ID Buzz GTX with 335 horsepower. So powerful. I think my Volt had almost that much, or even more than that, and it was a compact economy car. This is a whole van. Um, I want to say that probably the Model 3 standard range has more power than that. I've always described the Volkswagens as Camry-like. They're very unoffensive or inoffensive, very they get the job done as far as their electric car offerings. And this particular product I've always described as, well, not always, but as they've been later and later, I've always described it as over 20 years late. They showed us the first um, concept of this thing in the early 2000s, and we still don't have it here in the States. And you apparently barely have it in Europe. And every time they've showed it to us, it's had less and less appeal to me. They've had less of what they promised. Like, you don't have the swivel seats. It's a lot smaller on the inside. It's basically a minivan with a retro style outside. Basically, I'm not saying that if this is your thing that there's anything wrong with that. People complained about the hype on the Model 3 and the Cybertruck. 20 years, it's not just 4. All right, so you're gonna get a towing capacity of 4,000 pounds and charging speeds of up to 200 kilowatts. It's not bad. You get a 79 kilowatt hour usable battery, and I don't know about usable, but 79 kilowatt hour battery. You can get up to 185 kilowatts from a DC charger, while the bigger pack can do the 200. And they can be topped up from 10 to 80% in less than 30 minutes. So, bog standard. Every EV worth its salt can do that. There's cheaper and older ones that can't, I know, but every EV for sale that's worth buying today can do that. VAW didn't give us any real specs for range, but it was stated that both versions can accelerate from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 6.5 seconds. 6.5 seconds. Slower than a Prius. Not that, 0 to 60 is 62. So maybe about on par with the Prius if you do 0 to 60. Not that 0 to 60 is everything, but electric cars, except for Volkswagens and apparently Toyotas, have a reputation for being a little bit on the spirited side, which seems strange since presumably the bigger battery version will weigh more. It's not at all weird. The bigger battery kind of compensates for itself. We see that on other folks that offer multiple battery options, where the big battery doesn't necessarily get any more, not always, doesn't necessarily get any more performance or range. And then other cases where having the bigger battery will get you more performance and range, but less towing capacity, for instance. Stuff like that. But you can tow further because you've got more energy stored in there. It's quite a delicate balance. VW didn't supply weight configurations, of course not. Top speed is capped at 99 miles per hour. It's an interesting choice. And I mean, it's like I said, it's inoffensive, but this is the sporty one. That's why they call it the GTX. You can get it in 5 or 6 seat configuration on the standard wheelbase, and the long wheelbase you can get 7 seats. And what I remember, what they told us, but that was 4 years ago. Uh, in the states, we will only have the long wheelbase option, and we'll see what becomes of that. I mean, it's still pretty. Not as pretty as some of the concepts they showed us, but it works out. And it's got a weird charge port location, like right behind the passenger slider door. I mean, even if you weren't trying to get on the supercharger network, the driver's side slider door would be the more logical place to put the charge port. It gets less use. It doesn't necessarily go back as far as the passenger door, and you don't have to walk around the car to plug it in every day when you go home. And I would get it if they were right-hand drivers over there, but they're not. They are left-hand drivers in Germany. So why did they do this? The port should be on the other side. I mean, it doesn't look bad inside. It's not my style, but it doesn't look bad at all. It doesn't look at all like the concept. Am I just mad they showed us a pie in the sky concept 20 years ago and didn't even come close? Probably. All right, top comment by Craig. They need to bring this out already. We've been seeing the ID buzz for quite some time. Okay, so yeah, that was another technicality. It was called something else by the time I was referring to, but they've been on and on for 20 years. The same shape, concept, and market slotting. We've been seeing the ID buzz for quite some time, but even for me, the effect has worn off. See, and I'm not the only one. I hope this thing has knacks. It should, based on what VW's told us. I can totally see a legacy automaker saying, "Oh yeah, this one was in development before we made the announcement, so it's coming out with CCS, and then we're going to change it." They do stuff like that all the time. Like, here's our new system. Our new car doesn't have it, or it has it, but it's really only has it in name because it was too early in the cycle, and it doesn't have the capability to do this thing that we're showing off. I'm sorry, I heard weird noises out there. The neighbors doing trash. I hope this thing has NACS and a good sized battery with the vehicle to grid, vehicle to load, vehicle to grid, and onboard power for your campsite. It's crazy that they're still showing off a souped up version and the normal one isn't even out yet. Come on, VW. And to that, also want to point out that their camp style one, the California, not on sale in California, and is so heavy. It's not that heavy, but it's so heavy in Europe that you can't even buy it without a special license there. So they put it on pause so they could rework it. Like, people can retire on this particular product. They have just started their job. They worked on it 20 years, and then they support it for 5-10 years in the market, and they retire. This has been the weirdest auto program I've ever seen. And Omar says, "Hi, Kacey. Good afternoon, everyone. Legacy automakers are notorious for making vehicles nowhere near the concept." Yeah, this is true, but you usually only see the concept like maybe 2-3 years before it comes out, not 20. And then each time it comes out, well, I say that, but the Dodge Legacy, retros, nostalgia, bunch of names, that one gets less features every time we see it too. But typically, you only see it once, so you can't notice how badly they're cutting. But we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so that's the ID buzz. I mean, I'm sorry for not being more excited about it, but I did figure that some of you guys would want to know about it. And then there was this tweet. I saved it just because. Oh, why is it over there again? Stop opening on the wrong screen, computer. There we go. I think I know why it's doing it. It's the order I'm clicking on stuff. All right, so I wanted to save this tweet because it was my sentiment exactly. Everybody wants a camp buzz with decent range, but they build a race buzz. Even less range, but more power. What the hell? Nobody wants a 300 horsepower buzz. We want 500 kilometers range buzz. I think that's fair. I mean, yeah, nobody wants a 300 horsepower one. If you don't care about the power, 300 is a bit much. And if you do care, you can spend a lot less money and get a lot more horsepower. and almost everybody else is stable. Not necessarily gas cars, but electric cars. And then again, like he said, he wants range, and who doesn't want more range? And like you said, the camping, all the features that they promised, all the like. I'm not saying the concept promise. I'm talking about the stuff they promised when they said this is going on sale next year, and then it took 3 more years to even see it go out to Europe. Um, maybe there's some like executive who was trying to retire, and no, like I said, 20 years. They would have just canceled it when he retired. I don't know what's going on with this program. All right. And Omar, if you got time, we'd love to have you on the channel. If you want to hop on, I sent you a link over Facebook of all places, the messenger. So next up, let me click in here before I click on anything, and then I'm gonna click on the article, and it'll open up in the right window. Yay! All right, so I needed to keep Nicholas's length of article so I could go through it. Talked about battery storage and the Magic Bus twice. Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis are recalled for damaged charging control units. So this is our recall segment. It's the only one I saw this week. Doesn't mean it's the only one there is. But what we're looking at here is that drivers will see and hear warnings ahead of a vehicle shutdown. And what's going to happen with this is basically the DC to DC converter. It performs the function of an alternator on a gas car, keeps the low voltage system charged up, so you have brakes, power steering, and airbags in the case of a catastrophic failure of the system. And Hyundai calls it something funky, so let's take a look and see what they call it. But basically, when this dies, your car will be unable to keep the contactors open. The contactors make it so that the car can get the high voltage out of the big battery into the drive motors, the DC to DC converter, and other high voltage systems like the air conditioner and heater. Unless you have a heat pump for the same thing. So without low voltage, your car is, well, any car on the market today is useless. They do have some hybrids out there, the 48-volt hybrids that can, like, you push a button to jump the low voltage system off the high voltage, but I think that's like 1 or 2 models. And that wouldn't help you here because there's nothing to get that high voltage down so that it's not blowing your headlights out with 400 volts. And this is a physical problem. It's not a software problem. So it's just going to be a bring it into the dealer recall, not a, I guess bring it into the dealer is not necessary, but a bring it in recall. And in this case, because Hyundai does have dealers, bring it into the dealer. It's not an over-the-air software recall. I hope that petition that we talked about last time goes somewhere and they come up with the standard term for this thing. So this is going to affect 147,100 U.S. vehicles over damaged charging unit, they called it, which is not incorrect. It's just not very accurate. Hyundai will call 98,878 vehicles, including certain 2022 to 2024 Ioniq 5 and 6, Genesis GV60, Genesis GV70 electrified, Genesis GV80 electrified models, and Kia will recall 48,232 vehicles, impacting certain EV6 models. The integrated charging control units, the ICCU, or DC to DC, may become damaged over time from transient high voltage and thermal cycling. So basically, they didn't do very good long-term testing on this thing, or they missed something basically, where just using the car as a car in weather, turning it on, turning it off, letting it get hot, letting it get cold, using it when it's hot, using it when it's cold. They overlook something, and so basically these conditions will slowly just kind of tick away the life of the unit, and it will then have a bad fusing situation, and since it doesn't have a fuse, it doesn't have power. So that will stop the 12-volt battery from charging, which can cause a loss of drive power, increasing the risk of a crash. Yes, but like every other car on the road, it's designed to kind of coast down on its 12-volt battery. You'll still have headlights, you'll still have power steering, you'll still have power brakes. and you'll have this big old light on the dash that I hope you haven't ignored, because at that point, you could be coasting with no power steering, and that gets kind of hard. And I don't know if they have a wheel lock situation, but most of those steering wheel locks only work in park. So I think you should still be fine with that, because even the ones that are going to force themselves into park, they'll have been crawling before they take over to park. But it won't be a fun day to try. And if you don't have headlights, that's really bad. Tail lights, that sort of thing, airbags. But again, that's what the low voltage battery does. It gives you a time to safely get off the road with that. Hopefully, you weren't going like 2 miles an hour from speed. Anyway, audible warning chimes and one or more of the following: illumination of the check electric vehicle system warning light, master warning light, charging system warning, stop and check vehicle power supply warning light, power down turtle warning light, and or reductions in motive power. As we know from any other car with lots of computers in it, especially the EVs, uh, it will do all of that, and it may do more. And whatever the more is, might look like something else. So, what you're going to then do is dealers are going to inspect and replace the ICCU and its fuse as necessary. In addition, dealers will update the ICCU software. These things happen. My friend had an Ionic 5. He had a problem with the charging system and the fuse. Oh, that's the same one. The warning said, "Do not drive the car and call the dealer." I like, I like clear, clear warning lights, but I also like them to be informative. Tell me what's up, or something like that. The car sat at the dealer for 4 months waiting on the parts. To the benefits of Kia, they gave him a free of charge combustion Kia for free while waiting, including whatever amount of free gas. See, that's what I like. When my Model S was in the body shop after it got rammed repeatedly by a semi truck, um, they gave me a series of combustion cars, and then I just drove the Volt instead. Um, but all of those combustion cars, getting them to and from the rental place and my home, burned a not insignificant amount of gas. And then there were days I needed to drive the fossil car for whatever reason, and I demanded and received free gas. They all thought I was weird. I'm like, hey, the place has got solar. I've got free supercharging. I don't pay for fuel. And they disagreed, but their manager agreed and said, save your receipts. And they begrudgingly paid me back. But now it should be a little easier to get an EV rental, um, assuming that all the EV rental places don't make the same mistake that Hertz did and think that they can bank on the resale values. Not saying that the resale values are particularly poor with EVs or even Teslas, but to bank on the resale values, especially of Teslas, is not a good business move. Let's say that. All right, and then number two, the majority of the buying public doesn't hear about such things and keep buying HKGs in record numbers at overinflated, under discounted prices. HKG laughs all the way to the bank. So this person doesn't like Honda Kia Group or Honda Kia Genesis. They are a decent business strategy. You take something that's really cheap, you find out what people want, and you put the stuff that people want, the style, the tech features, the comfort, that sort of thing, and you work on that. And then you don't have to update the engine from 20 years old until the emission standards change, or you want better fuel economy. Put the money where the customer cares about it. And then anybody else who wants just a better, well-rounded situation can complain all day long. And I've said it in the past, I like the Ionic 5 and the EV6, their styling, their features, they are attractive to me. But at the time, they didn't charge on the world's largest network, and now they do. So we'll see what my next vehicle is, but the it's probably the Cybertruck. All right, so the next comment is Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy. Warranty related service visits need to be backed by equivalent loaners. I agree 100%. That won't make the dealers happy, and it won't make Tesla happy, but it's the only reasonable ethical thing. If you drive an economy combustion car and they put you in a like something as bad as the original Hummer. It's gonna be harder to park, it's gonna be more expensive to park, and then your fuel consumption is gonna be something that was not budgeted for. And then same thing with any combustion car over a not necessarily the parking cost, but any combustion car over an EV that you normally drive. That's they cost more to fuel, and they have lots of inconveniences. Like now, you got to take time out of your day a couple times a week to go to a place to go hold a hose for a couple minutes, and then you got to get back from where your detour to get back to what you were doing. And why did I lump Tesla into that? Because they've got their flipping Uber credits or nothing, or uh, I don't personally mind when they give me like a 2012 loaner. Some people do, with dog hair and food trash on the floor. I mean, hey, it's a car, whatever. Nobody got sick, but uh, from what they offer, that's not the experience that they should be returning to a customer. Again, the fact they gave me a somewhat similar EV, I'm fine, but Uber credits or nothing. My very first loaner from Tesla was a Infinity SUV of some sort for my Model S, and not the X, the S, and we drove that around for a day while they fixed the charge port and a couple of other items that the original owner never had addressed. After that, everything from them has been electric. There might have been one other gas car from them, but other than that one or two, every other loaner from them uh, has been a Tesla. I never had a Model 3 from them. There was a second one. It was a Nissan sedan, and it might have been because something about that Infinity we didn't care for. Like it just like something was missing, like maybe a passenger mirror or something. I was like, yeah, no, we're not going to do this. And so we got the Nissan. Mr. Electric Car Lunacy says, if they're going to threaten me with a cleaning fee if my dog sheds, they can at least vacuum the carpet before I get in. Yes. So I would always point it out, and I would ask for, hey, just give me the one that just got in. I don't care if it's clean or not, as long as there's not biohazards coming out of it. And then they remember they gave me the one with the trash on the floor, and so if I accidentally left a French fry in the cup holder, they couldn't say jack. Not that I can afford French fries on the road anymore. It was it $6 a box now. They've lost their minds. It's supposed to be a cheap snack for under $1. They're freaking potatoes. Let's move on to the next story. Where's the thing? Oh, it took a minute to start blinking. Let's go talk more about charging. So the Tesla supercharger network leads the US towards 2030 charging goal, which apparently has just been relaxed. I hear my baby. Where's she at? She's coming in the door. The US is aiming to put 33 million EVs on the road by 2030 with 500,000 public EV chargers the same year. And there's a report showing that the rollout of DC fast charging stations is still far from reaching these goals. Though, hello, baby. You want help with your shoes? Oh, you have a boo boo. You fell down? Bubble. Boo boo. Yeah, see it on your knee there. You want to bring the cleaner? The orange box? Take your shoes off. One more. Oh, all right. It's got a little nick on her knee. Good job, baby. Bring it here. You want to sit here? Were you running, or are you not watching where you were going in your trips? We've got a waterproof first aid kit. All right. Band-aids. Cleaner. Antibiotics. So, tip for you guys: if you have an HSA, Amazon has an HSA compatible uh, store, and you can burn out your HSA. Oh, you want to give her crayon ones? Okay, that's fine. You can burn out whatever's left in your HSA that you can't carry forward on useful products. All right, so let's clean this up. Just this one? Okay. Save this. You're gonna get some more later today. Okay. You want orange or yellow? Orange? Okay. Crayola. Oh, that's nice. When you pull it out of the wrapper, it pre-peels one of the sides. There you go. Have fun. Your sunglasses. Okay, so there was complaints about this particular one because they counted a 50 kilowatt DC charger as a fast charger, and for the Leaf and well, not the Volt couldn't fast charge at all. The Leaf and the iMeave and same car, a bunch of other products available back in 2012. 50 kilowatts was nice. Even the original Model S charged at 90 kilowatts. But to put money towards these lower speed chargers today seems like a waste of our investments, both taxpayer and commercial. Not everybody needs a 350 kilowatt charger, but we should be looking at 100 kilowatts and up minimum. 150 is, I would say, is the floor. But when you look at what other people charge for charging stations than what Tesla charges, I can kind of see why people are still making these middling to poor charging installs. So just kind of goes for what the title says. You know, Tesla Supercharge Network leads towards the goal. And so here is everybody who's installed something. Yes, baby. It still hurts? Yeah. It's gonna hurt all day, baby. You can give this to mommy so you can put more on later when she changes your band-aids. And then go potty. But don't squeeze it, just give it to mommy. Yeah, so here we can see everybody who's involved in this. Let's see, we've got Tesla. I don't know what non is. Maybe it's either none or not one of these. Shell Recharge, Rivian Adventure. They're not. They're not in like the stacked order. So I had to get out my color comparison. Some of these colors are too close to each other and too small of charts for me to say which is which. So the public ports, non is leading the way behind Tesla with 18,000 ports. Tesla is leading the way with 20,000 ports. And B&N also did pretty well at just over 18,000 ports. But I still, even with this, I don't see that meaning that the Stellantis and Co can rival superchargers anytime in the next year and a half, like they claim they're going to do. And this one was interesting because a lot of people have been calling what did Elon call it? Parkus, not Parkus. He called it Park Seek and a couple other things he called it, and then everybody else just called it reverse summon, which was irksome to me because reverse summon already existed. It was classic summon in the backwards direction. Because classic summon would go forward a couple feet and go back a couple feet. Uh, Hopefully not in the same operation, but that was what it was. And so reverse summon to me was just making the car go into a tight parking space for it to park him out of one. Ow, what, baby? It still hurts? Yeah, I'm sorry. You want me to kiss it? Ooh, what? Ooh, car. Yeah, car. It's parking. It's using auto park. So, rather than nominate one of the names, just like Elon doesn't like Model Two, I also think it sounds goofy. Uh, Rather than use one of the not so great names, Elon and Co. They came up with something new, and Auto Park, the Park Seek Assist, Park Seek, a couple other things that they. Well, if you take it off the band-aid, it's gonna hurt. It's not a sticker; it's a band-aid. Just put it under my. What's the point of picking a color? Rather than using just a not so great name that's already out in the community, they came out with a new name. They call it Banish Mode. I banish you. And so you get out of the car, you shut the door, or in the case of Model X, you just get out of the car. It'll shut its own doors and tell it to go away. It'll find a parking space and park. And we've seen some folks with the 12.3 builds, the early ones at least. The car did a crude job of parking. Another part of this announcement is that actually Smart Summon, as Elon calls it, is coming. So it's the first update that we've seen that we can measure of having any effect in well over 3 years to summon. It's going to be using the new autopilot stack, the FSD stack, and that one I expect will have a finer control in the parking lot. Same way that we see that even still today, FSD still has modes for highway and city. They don't do the weird like Jacqueline Hyde personality change they used to do back in the beginning of the FSD beta days. But you can still tell that it's changed its regiment. I suspect that will be something it does when it gets to a parking lot. We'll just hand it over to summon, even if you're in the car and it's just driving through the aisles and whatever. It can do that now. It doesn't do it well, and definitely not in all parking lots. But I think it'll just do the mode switch, just like you get off of the city street into the parking lot. It'll just switch into smart summon, and then at that point, you won't need to be in the car. Now, with these cars not being level 3 or 4 or whatever, will the need to have your app open and still be pushing and holding a button with the dead man's trigger still be there? Or are they going to certify these cars as level 3 on good nights and days for parking on their own? That will be interesting. Because it'll still be a level 2 system if you're in the car, but it'll be a level 3 outside the car, and you won't have to hold a button down. I'm not saying that is what they've gone with, but I'm curious to see how they approach this. Got a couple comments on that one. Lee says, I can't wait for that update. Exactly. This is going to be amazing. I've stopped using Smart Summon much because, one, they took away the come to me button. You had to fiddle around with the dot. And then two, the last time I used it, mine tried to just run over a insurance agent's Model Y, and that scared the crap out of me. I'm like, what am I? This is an insurance agent, and two cars recorded in eight views, plus whatever cars were in the right angle to see it. That just it got this close to colliding with the insurance agent's Model Y, and that and how it sometimes gets confused, just kind of slowly, aimlessly wanders around through like the times and places I'd want to use it. It's just not worth it unless it's like a parking lot full of puddles or something. I can just walk to it faster and go do what I want to do versus waiting for it to find its way around and hoping it doesn't run anything over or curb its wheels. But from what I've seen of the way that FSD 11.4.9 has done over the last 6 months, uh, the way it's behaved in some parking lots, like sometimes it will not try and Dukes of Hazard over speed bumps. Sometimes, uh, shoot, last night we were coming home with it on, and there were these not necessarily drunk, but these guys had open containers walking across the road. Uh, it didn't look like they were going to stop. It also didn't look like I needed to slow down to not clip them. The car did some hard braking, and they looked at me, and then they continued to walk. And I'm like, yeah, not like in indignation, but they looked at me like, oh, thanks for stopping for us. Like you guys have probably seen this if you were uh, not willing to override it, and you saw somebody getting ready to jaywalk, and the car stops and lets them cross, and they give you the thumbs up or the thank yous, and you're like, yeah, I would have let you through. But that's exactly what the car did, and what I've seen of the way it behaves is it's got some of the features and movements of the new, not the current one probably, but of the new integration that I've heard people talk about and show, but only sometimes. So it'll be interesting to watch how this goes. Lee says, um, well, first, Mr. All Electric Lunacy says he had to create a new name so it's not confused with any existing Tesla automatic smart summons acronym. Yes, exactly. And I like the way that they went with a name that's unambiguous, or it is very ambiguous, but it's you can't confuse it for something you could sue them for. It's called Banish. It's not called Great Parking System. It's not called Fully Parking Unattended, or like it's a marketing name through and through. Unlike autopilot and full self driving, which well, full self driving is not, but autopilot matches the existing definition of autopilot. Full self driving when it's done, but it's not done. Yeah. Lee says mine almost drove into a parked car. I was about to walk away and leave it, just out of sheer embarrassment. That's not my kid. I got you. Uh, I mainly use it to pull out of the spot for me, but not come all the way out to me. I don't trust it. Yeah, and that's what I basically do still to this day. I do classic summon, and I do it all, and that's why I call it classic summon rather than smart summon. I use that all the time, and it helps when you've got the key fob because you can just push on the roof and then push the nose of the tail, and then it'll move up to, in my case, I have it set to 33 feet, and it'll just go in a straight line, straight-ish. Like if there's an obvious obstacle, it will either stop at the obstacle, or if it's got enough, it doesn't have much room with the wheel. Um, it'll do a little bit of steering around. I use that one several times a quarter. I don't use it every day, but that one's nice. Smart summon, like I said, I haven't used it since it tried to run over that lady's car. Just it wasn't worth it. Well, I'll let your car. Let me see. Summon SE Mini. Yes, uh, exactly. I hope they leave that one in because sometimes all you need is for the car just to move a couple feet out of the way. Just oh man, you're just scooch forward, please. Back up out of that. Just to be able to either hit it in software or if you buy the accessory key fob, I guess they would need to touch it for the cars without ultrasonic sensors, but hopefully it's just a matter of them integrating in the distance perception object model situation they've got going on now, and then they just leave it be. Don't touch my classic summon. Do get rid of that mess that is smart summon. I want that actually smart summon. Oh, let's scroll down, make sure I didn't miss anything. But those were the 2 points of me bringing this article in. Smart summon. Oh well, I was going to try to make it bigger. Yes. Although this will look really weird to me when I'm reading the articles before the show, because everything will be like phone format. Zoom in enough, I think you're on a phone. It appears those changes and improvements will be unveiled sometime in April, says Musk. Back from a 2-hour experience with FSE 12.3 initial high-level observations, pros vastly improved safety versus 12.2. Previous version had issues in my area with unprotected lefts. 12.3 was very safe and confident once it found a safe gap. Huge improvement, I will say, on. I'm not going to bother with the second tweet or the read mores. Musk says major improvements coming for summon and banish Autopark next month. Logical Lucy says I want ultrasonic sensors back on new cars. They brought radar back. I don't necessarily need the ultrasonic sensors. What I'd like for them to do is they're doing the front camera now. That might be enough. And then if it's not, just make your radar aperture have a wide enough view to do what we were using the sensors for. So then you're still at the same price per car, but then you're not having to punch holes in, not having to paint match all the little pucks, not having to run a wiring harness all over the both bumpers. But if the front camera is good enough, then I'm fine with that. If it is, we will see, because the only cars with front cameras aren't using them for autopilot that we're aware of, and in the case of the one that came out first, it still doesn't even have smart cruise control. It let alone auto steer. Talking about Cybertruck, full manual mode, or the classic cruise control where it'll just run into stuff. Excuse me. Yep. Don't say anything more than the tweet there. I love it how you can make an article out of a tweet. Maybe they can get auto parallel parking to work. It works for me. Wait for that was another thing we saw. I don't think I pulled the tweet in on it because I was like, well, what's the point of that? The interface where you can click on a parking space and then have the car just park in the parking space of choice is coming soon as well. Maybe in that same update, maybe not, or maybe just this is just what we've had for a while now. Because on the key card cars, you could click on the screen once you found a valid parking space to make it park. On the, well, I guess I click on the screen too, but on the legacy cars, you kind of get it near space and something would appear on the main screen, and then you click on the other screen to make it happen. But on the touchscreen cars, you're clicking on the notification. I don't have a touchscreen in front of me, so I had to click on the actual touchscreen. I push go, and they didn't make it clear what was so exciting and fancy about that. So either it's because it came to the sensor-free cars, or it's the update where you can pick the spot. Other than that, I didn't see anything in the announcement why that was special. There's a need for clarification. Is this for newer Tesla cars that lack sensors, or older cars with the sensors that have been able to use the paid features of Banish for Shadow's Robotaxi? It does, but don't hold your breath on that. It's there's so much involved in getting Robotaxi to happen. Besides, one, getting good at doing the task, and then two, once it gets there, then you have to get through the regulators, And once you've done that, you need to get through the politicians. This is not going to be a fast journey to the self-owned uh, robotaxi. Like, look at all the hoops that Google and the others had to jump through to get theirs working. And then even the tractor trailers, they they're in a little bit of a weird spot to make theirs happen as well. Oh, that reminds me. I don't know how I could show it. My mother, on her journeys, saw a carload full of well, actually several carloads full because looking at the pictures of Cybertrucks. You had one that was just Cybertrucks, and then one that had like Model Ys and Model 3s on it. That was exciting. Um, moving on. I know for a while we were downplaying the wireless charging situation, but they've made some breakthroughs in commercialized wireless high-speed power charge, well, high power wireless charging, and it's now rated at what 96, 98%, not 98%, 96% efficient. So you're not wasting as much as heat as we had back in the day. And let's see, whatever number they had was 100 kilowatts with 96% efficiency, a new milestone. What's new about this, if you heard about them charging 120 kilowatts wirelessly, is, and that's, remember, 120 kilowatts is Tesla V2's debut rate. It only became 150 shortly before V3s started to get ready to get shipped. The 120 that we heard about was only in the lab. The 100 kilowatt is out in the field or on a vehicle. Either way, it wasn't just the two coils outside of a vehicle in the lab. It was coil and a car. So scientists at the USDOE funded ORNL wirelessly charged the EV using polyphase electromagnetic coupling coils with rotating magnetic fields. The patented system transferred power to a Hyundai Kona across a 5-inch air gap using electromagnetic fields, a process similar to the wireless charging of small consumer devices. And apparently, since it's so efficient, it's a lot less warm than your phone. Not relatively. I mean, it probably is more than warm than your phone, but like the jump compared to what the system is prepared to handle is not as high. We've achieved the highest power density in the world for a wireless charging system for this class of vehicle. Our technology reaches power densities 8 to 10 times higher than conventional coil technology and can increase the battery charge state by 50% in under 20 minutes. That part's all well and good, but two really good things stand out to me for wireless charging at a spot. Uh, One, there's more places they can put them easily, and you won't have to worry about, like I talked about at the Burlington Supercharger a while back, you won't have to worry about, it's not really a burglary, it's a robbery. You don't have to worry about getting robbed or mugged because you can just put the car in gear and drive off, unlike with any other EV where you've got something plugged into it. The other bit of it that I see is that if they get this working, then it's not that far stretched to see them embed it in sections of the roadway so that you can then travel further just by um, them having a couple good sections where these are in place. Will that happen? I don't know, because when you look at some of the roads out there that have either full of potholes or full of just patches to potholes rather than just putting out new surfaces, I don't know how that part would play out, but it becomes a possibility once you've got something like this. Top comment by Auntie. For those who complain about wireless charging efficiency before reading this article, researchers wirelessly charged a light-duty passenger EV at 100 kilowatts with 96% efficiency, a new milestone. I don't even think our phones are 96% efficient, but I typically cable charge mine. I printed out this phone stand last night, and then I promptly broke the wheel. It's got a little wheel for adjusting it. But this particular filament is a generic filament. I'm gonna try it again with my name brand and then put my other phone in that. Yeah, so this is exciting. It's not there yet, but it will be someday, and that's kind of cool. Moving on to open widget. I'll have to click on that at the end of the show. I don't know what the widget is. Next up, we're going to talk about, click over here before I make a mistake. We're going to talk about FreeWire's new program offers custom EV charger tech. So this is kind of the razors and razor blades, printers and ink situation. FreeWire used to charge a whole mess of money for their custom chargers. These DC fast chargers. What's kind of cool about theirs is they tend to be battery backed, so you can hook up to smaller grid feeds and not have to worry about throttling your customers until you have like a lot of back-to-back sessions that have depleted the battery before the grid can refill them. And they used to cost a lot of money, and they still do, but now you don't have to buy them up front. You can get it completely free on a purchasing program for your company, and that's pretty cool. I'd say that they're probably one of the few vendors doing something like this. There's ChargePoint, who they've had many different iterations of their stuff. I think if you let them install a station on your property, it's similar, but I still think there are fees involved. And then there's Volta. I don't know how the business side of it is, but on the consumer side, they pay themselves with advertising. I think depending on what your agreement is, you can put some of your own ads, and I've seen this, some of your own ads on the displays, in addition to what they're already advertising. But my understanding is this is the first one that's like this, where free razor, come back for the blades. The blades here are just monthly payments, I guess, or a cut of what they charge the customer. But they currently have the Boost 150 and Boost 200 chargers. They're supported by FreeWire's proprietary asset management program, or AMP, which uses AI to determine the ideal locations for installs and provides data and tools beyond deployment. And that was the other part. So the first customer may surprise you. It's Chevron, of all places. So Chevron's going to get some. We don't know if they're getting the free chargers or if they're paying for them, but Chevron's going to be one of their first customers, and that's pretty cool. Welcome to the new century, Chevron. Actually, I might tell you what they did right here. FreeWire explained how it plans to accelerate the new program, the new business model, zero upfront costs. Businesses are then empowered to collect payments from their charging amenities on site. Furthermore, each FreeWire file features a 24-inch screen for marketing. Essentially, FreeWire is paying businesses like Chevron. Okay, so yeah, Chevron is one of the first to take advantage of the new program. The first company to sign up on the Accelerate program and for use of its proprietary install of its use of its property to install the charging technology. FreeWire in turn operates and maintains the equipment and takes the profits from EV charging sessions. Okay, so you're using it to attract more customers, and they're taking everything, which is still kind of fair because now you've got somebody who's stuck on site for 15 minutes at a minimum, an hour if they are 100% chargers. Actually, I take that back. 90 minutes if they're 100% chargers. FreeWire confirmed participating businesses will receive a share of the charging station revenues and are protected by a guaranteed minimum payment for leasing parking spots to the charging company. Nice. So that's a good deal for being a company to host this thing. It also allows participating businesses to fully own the charging stations after 5 years of operation. So basically, leasing to own. Not bad. And the founder and CC. Is it CCO? What is a CCO? I'm not familiar with that term. CCO. Chief Commercial Officer is a CCO. Executive level position where whose occupant is responsible for the commercial strategy and development of an organization. He's doing his job. Their CCO and Arkady Sazonov spoke about the unique, cost-heavy approach to the new program. The Accelerate program demonstrates our conviction in the improving economics of EV charging. We are investing our capital to promote customers' businesses. This dot's not working either. We gotta need to make sure stuff is just below the dot. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Enable our customers' businesses to market an EV offering under their brand with zero upfront costs. This is an unparalleled opportunity for businesses to leverage the growing need for this amenity. At FreeWire, we envision a future where EV adoption is uninhibited by available charging infrastructure, and the Accelerate program is a crucial step towards making that vision a reality. I think this would work better if I could get this close to the screen, have it like at chest level, like the camera. Look at your eyes, like we were talking. There's no room on my desk for that. I don't have the monitor arms for it just yet. But I think the next time I move the setup, I will do that. All right, continuing on to the next story. I told you we'd talk about IG Metal. I wasn't sure if I included it. So the majority, I actually picked a Drive Tesla Canada version of this at first, but this explained it better for me. Majority of Tesla Giga Berlin workers vote against the union, but IG Metal still makes progress. So it was win-win, safe face for everybody. The way that they work in Germany is they've got like a council. And so what happened here is that in the employee council, IG Metal members have taken the majority of, or not saying the majority, but more of the seats. And the Tesla workers themselves have decided to stay non-union. So we can kind of see why IG Metal didn't want to cost these people their jobs right ahead of this election. Part of the reason that they said, for their own reasons, they didn't want, aside from it being immoral for them and potentially illegal to participate in sympathy strikes outside of Sweden, they had plans and they didn't want IF Metal to screw them up with their just. It would be one thing, as I and many others have said, if they were representing somebody, like somebody actually had an interest in not being on site, like had a strike, like we talked about last week with Ford, not say Ford suppliers being on strike because they wanted the same package that Ford got. It ended up shutting Ford down, but that wasn't out of sympathy. That was just because Ford didn't have any parts. So, and that was it Ford of Spain, I believe. Anyway, the work councils of Germany work almost like governments within companies to represent the workers. They can work with unions or be independent of them. And the workers at the Berlin factory had to vote on a new worker council yesterday. And Tagesspiegel, the newspaper, I guess, the agency reporting that IG Metal has made a lot of progress, taking up about 40% of the seats on the council, the biggest group within it, but failed to gain a majority. And translated from German, IG Metal, say, keep it just below the dot. Can I do that? This is IG Metal narrowly won the Works Council election at Tesla Grünheide in 39.4% of the workers voting for the union's candidates, followed by the second place of 35.9% by the list of employees who dominated the previous Works Council. In the new 39-person Works Council, IG Metal is the largest group with 16 members. The Tagesspiegel, I guess they call themselves the Tagesspiegel, but in German, learned from the company on Wednesday evening. However, the union clearly missed the majority. Both Tesla and IG Metal declared victory. The former believes that the majority of the employees didn't vote for workers representing the union, and the latter believes that because their representatives took more of the seats than any other group. And let's see. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, the electric cars, when they do catch fire, they burn longer and a little bit hotter, but it's not a common occurrence. Every car catches fire, but you just want it to be less than the average. Continuing on, for those listening, I was responding to a comment. Like I said, I wasn't going to make this a union show, but I did have to talk about IG metal versus IF metal. The first branded for the first branded version 4 supercharger. So you might notice this doesn't say Tesla in large words across the front. It says EV Point. We had EV Points, a BP owned company, a company that owns a bunch of gas stations that spell their names funny, and one other that all bought V4 dispensers. And every one of them is installing and maintaining them themselves. So I'm curious if the experience will be the same as using a Tesla supercharger. I'm also curious if Tesla still built in I mean, obviously it's still got the hardware, but if they link them up for plug and charge so that you can get to these points, plug in your Tesla, and just have it bill you the same way that it would for a supercharger. And with this being a third-party charger, it still has the same auto enlisting and delisting system built in. So I do wonder now that if that system works on non-Teslas. Basically, if your charger becomes unreliable enough, then Tesla will remove it. Not just Tesla, the company, but your car will remove the charger from the map if your car is the one that was the deciding factor in it not charging successfully enough times. Your car will be the one to take it off the map. And then if enough people come by manually plugging in and it goes above the threshold again, your car will be the one to put it back on to the maps for every other car. So now I'm wondering if your Tesla takes it off, will it remove it for Rivian and Ford and whoever else? Or I'm curious. Yeah, I mean, like I said, cars catch fire. These things happen. Um, I'll read up more on it later though, just to see if it's anything novel about it, other than car on fire and blocking lots of traffic. The first ever branded Tesla V4 supercharger is a fact, located in Ultrader, UK, and exploited by the EK Group. Or EG Group, sorry. The EG Group states, ... I doubt it was spontaneous. And yeah, it takes a lot of water to put them out because the way you put out an EV fire is you just keep putting water on it till it gets down to the temperature where it doesn't self combust anymore. You can do other methods, but why spend the money on foam and stuff when you can just use water? Obviously, places like Arizona and the high desert of Utah, they might want to invest in those dunk tanks that we saw in Europe, where you can just take the whole car, dump it in a dumpster full of either water or chemicals, and uh, and just let them sit there for a couple days. Continuing on, breaking the first ever V4 supercharger as a fact. Exploited by the EG Group states, we are proud to announce the launch of our first EV Point branded charging station at the Asda Express petrol station, the Derby Road. I don't know how you pronounce that. Uxdotter? ST145AA. The initiative represents a significant step forward in the EG Group's commitment to sustainable energy and our efforts to enhance the EV charging infrastructure. Not bad. By selecting Tesla supercharger hardware, we are ensuring our customers have access to some of the most advanced charging technology available. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at 250 kilowatts per point, megawatt charging per site, or not say per site, but per 4. And then if you have more than 4, the cabinets can share power amongst each other over the DC bus. So you don't even have to worry about parking next to somebody because there's just enough power in the system to handle it. And it looks like there's more than 4 there, so theirs will have the system built in. Nice. And I'm talking about V3 cabinets for anybody who doesn't realize that. The V3 has got all this technology, and then you put the V4 cabinet in front of it. Eventually, when the V4 cabinets come out, then we'll see an advancement of beyond what we already see. And I'm curious if a V3 can handle 1000 volts. We haven't seen any deployed yet, but we'll see what happens. This is going to be interesting to watch develop, especially with these third parties, and the fact that they chose the hardware they felt was more reliable. It's also cheaper. I, I think that's kind of cool that they did that instead of spending 4 times as much for like a 2-post. They get 8 stations for the same cost. Why not? You should correctly install their handle maybe. Yeah. This is what they used to look like. They should change these to the V4s with their name on them. They just bought. Well, I mean, you take any car over an overpass, it might catch fire. um, they're lucky they're alive with a car that goes flying off an overpass. These cars are built really well, very robust. Continuing on. We've got Tesla Model 3 surprisingly spotted at Gigafactory Austin. What? And this is re-reported to us by the Tesla Live Show. The Tesla Model 3 sedans surprisingly spotted at Gigafactory Texas outbound lot. They got this from Teslarati. Looking at the picture, we see Model 3, Model 3, Model 3, Model 3, Model 3, and then of course the usual Model Ys and Cybertrucks that we do expect to see out of Giga Texas. So let's click at Teslarati and see what's going on here, because Gigafactory Austin up until now hasn't had the ability to make Model 3s. Has not had. Model 3 refreshes at Giga Texas outbound lot. What do you think is going on? Image from 20 March of 2024. So just 4 days ago. A recent drone flyover of Giga Texas has revealed something quite interesting. Parked alongside the Model Y and Cybertruck units at the facility's outbound lot, so like out of the factory ready to get on trucks, were several upgraded Model 3 sedans. Upgraded as in like they weren't making the old one for some reason, like the new Model 3. The presence of the upgraded Model 3 at Giga Texas is quite interesting, as the facility is only known to produce the Model Y and Cybertruck for now. Footage of the upgraded Model 3 units at Giga Texas outbound lot was captured by Joe Tegmeyer of the Quad Squad, who conducted a drone flyover at the complex on March 20th, and captured a number of interesting updates at Giga Texas, one of which was the presence of 300 Cybertrucks on the site, which is really cool, as it looks like they're turning 300 trucks a day. Kind of goes hand in hand with what my mom showed me the picture of the Cybertrucks rolling down the road. Well, they were at a truck stop, and then the Cybertruck trucks were at a truck stop as well. Tesla has not provided an explanation behind the presence of the upgraded Model 3 sedans at Giga Texas's outbound lot, though some EV watchers have speculated the vehicles may have been shipped to the site from Fremont. Why would you ship them from Fremont and then park them at Texas to get on a truck? I mean, that could be a logistical thing, but it seems weird. I would speculate that, they've run them through the factory at Giga Texas. Not necessarily built them there, but like drove them down the line. Or assembled them there, possibly. But not necessarily built them there, just assembled them. What could be happening with that is this could be the first gigacasted Model 3, though. So right now, the Model 3 is not gigacasted all the way through. It'll be interesting to see. Actually, I don't even think that it's gigacasted in the rear like the Model Y is. At Fremont, the rear of the Model Y is gigacasted. And at Austin, it's got the combo of the rear gigacast and then the structural battery pack where it's all gigacast. That could be interesting to watch. Yes, exactly, Omar. By upgraded Model 3, they mean the one currently for sale, not the one with the frog eyes. But with the one with the sleek executive saloon look. But for it to be at Texas, you couldn't make it the way that you make the current Model 3. They just don't have the hardware there for that. I mean, they could bring it in, but that why would you bring in a process that you're getting rid of? So this would either be, like I said, assembled there, like they did in England, where they just put the car together, drive around through the factories to see what happens, uh, testing a gigacasted Model 3, or something else that isn't really considered because of the way they labeled it at the Investor Day, or I think it was Investor Day. It might have been where they showed off the unboxed video. And they showed a Model Y with colors on it, and they just kind of slapping it together in pieces rather than going down the assembly line. When they say it wasn't a real Model Y, they could mean they were implying that it was Model Next. But the same way that Elon loves to say that there is no such thing as Highland, and then everything in the parts catalog and service catalog say Highland for the current Model 3, maybe that this is that, or this was something like like they say there's no Juniper, but again, same thing. Juniper is the Model Y version of Highland. Maybe this is that. Omar says maybe they transported them there and have them staged for delivery. Yeah, that's what I was saying about the logistics. I'm wondering, like, maybe it's just made more sense to catch a truck at Texas, but it also seems so weird to not just catch the truck in Texas, but to put it in the lot with the outbound factory output to go catch a truck. But I mean, that could be cheaper and faster than than meeting up somewhere else and doing it, and definitely wouldn't tie up your service center folks as much. Like, you've already got staff that are outside just dealing with getting trucks loaded and unloaded all the time at the factory. So it could be just that, but I'm hoping that it's something more advanced than that, like that we might see more of these happening. Uh, so where were we in the article? So such a scenario seems plausible, as maybe Giga Texas as a shipping hub for upgraded Model 3 orders in nearby states. And that's also a possibility, and that would make more sense if this was a trial of using them as a hub. Because when you look at Shanghai is considered the export hub for Tesla Asia. So maybe all the Gigafactories are going to be like inbound, outbound hubs, and this is just a test of that. Time will tell. Yep. Next, the government has released $11.2 million to Virginia's NEVI program to expand the wireless charging infrastructure. And the NEVI program, if you remember, is part of the IRA, which is the Inflation Reduction Act, which included a lot of provisions for efficiency, like heat pumps and electric cars and electric car chargers. Let's see where Virginia plans to put this money. So $11.295 million in federal grants to Virginia DOT as part of the first round, of the National Vehicle Infrastructure Formula Program. Previously, we talked about Ohio and I think Kentucky and Hawaii, and so far they've all been buying these expensive, easily broken chargers that we were just talking about, that EV Point decided not to buy, and went with Tesla V4 dispensers instead. So they announced a $5 billion budget, NEVI program. Tesla was informed that. VDOT recently announced the NEVI winners during Commonwealth Transportation Board meeting. A total of 18 NEVI winners will receive funding, including Circle K, BP, Love's Travel Stops, Amoco, Pilot Center, and Valerio. The NEVI program also awarded funding to a few motels. So first thing I'm noticing in that list, several of those companies are on the self-installed V4 supercharger program. So we might see chargers that are not a waste of our taxpayer money because they're not overpriced and they're not easily broken. I'm excited for that. Also, they notice that they're all fueling stations, so hopefully they're all near the places that people will go on trips. because that's when you need a DC charger most of the time. You either need it near multifamily dwellings, like just neighborhoods full of townhouses, or apartment blocks, or places where street parking or off-street parking is not available, like just old neighborhoods. Um, well, I say old neighborhoods, but not just old neighborhoods. I've seen some of the new concepts where you have those open malls, and then they have houses, but the houses don't have off-street parking. It's interesting. I'm guessing that they're hoping that the demise of the car is near, and their neighborhoods are already walkable and have shopping and amenities already ready to go. Continuing on, businesses in the Richmond area are secured 8 new EV charging stations thanks to the winners. Drivers want 24-hour access to 24 hours. That's something I grade on when I rate superchargers. They want 24-hour access to well-lit, safe, and accessible amenities when they stop to charge up. Clean restrooms and plenty of food and beverage options. Yeah, this is why so many of the gas stations on my list got high scores with my supercharger reviews. MrSupercharger.com, which just takes you to my website right now. I haven't done anything fancy with it. I plan to at this point now. Attendants say that they can help with, and attendants they can help that can help with charging are a must. I guess that would be more for disabled access. Like if your cables are chunky and you have limited mobility, you can call somebody to come plug you in. That's not a bad idea actually. Continuing on, we applaud VDOT for awarding several of the grants in this first round to businesses that have been serving drivers for decades, and will be serving drivers for years to come. We also encourage the state to reconsider sending funds to motels which have none of the amenities the drivers expect. True. Um, I haven't done any for motels, but I have done for hotels. They don't get as high marks as the S for several reasons. They don't have hot food ready to eat most of the time, but they are open 24 hours and have usually clean restrooms, but at least have restrooms. And the only one I gave low marks to didn't really count because it was the delisted supercharger. It was delisted and removed. And at that site, the new owners were hostile to any Tesla drivers who got out of their car and approached the building that weren't paying patrons. Like, you're going to spend the night there. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, very much so. Based on NEVI guidance, states were directed to provide their grants to applicants with sufficient space, amenities, hours, and accessibility to drivers. Looks like Virginia got the message. The NEVI program is providing up to $106 million in grants to Virginia between 2022 and 2027 to help the businesses build, own, and operate these high-speed EV charging stations. The grants will eventually dry up, so every dollar that goes to a business that is positioned to grow this investment into a sustainable operation that is not dependent on federal funds is a win for the Commonwealth. Yes. And in December, Ohio, that was one I was missing. They started it with the first station, and they built an EVgo. Well, this tiny $11 million grant is chicken feed in politics. It's barely enough. What bothers me is the billions shoveled to donors every year, massive waste. So 11 million, like I said, if you pick a reasonable system like the superchargers, the V4s, and the V3s even, you can get that to go a lot further than if you take them to vendors that meet the program by the letter, and you can just check a box and then you not feel bad about it, but literally have wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars per site. So hopefully we see, and it doesn't have to be a Tesla supercharger, but hopefully we find some more that are that efficient. And it's the same thing I've noticed time and again with the home charging. The home chargers, the Tesla ones, like you buy them at Best Buy, for instance, they you can buy them from Tesla too. They typically are less expensive than what's on the market, offering similar or better features per price point, and they're more reliable. I mean, there's not a lot of extra fluff in them. Attendance that can help with charging are a must. Charging sites need to have attendance to help with charging. Should automatically be excluded from the program. No. Yeah, if you need charging to turn on the because the stupid screen is broken, I agree. But I interpreted it earlier for disabled access. Chicago's frozen charge is gonna mind. Teslas are usually money. However, all right. Gotta put a comment in it. There we go. The next article we've got is I don't know why when I click on this thing, it takes a second for the cursor to start blinking where it was. So you thought about the Fiat 500e anytime soon? Only one of my friends has. The new Fiat 500e, which is sold only as an EV, it might get a gas option again. When they came to the new version, they refreshed it. They dropped the combustion, and now they're talking about putting it back. Going the wrong way, Stellantis. But this is how did I word it when I put this in here? I worded it as more legacy walkbacks because we hear about Ford and GM making more hybrids and blah blah blah. Well, actually, we don't hear that much about Ford except that their dealers can't sell the cars because they don't want to. But GM and the others talk about, oh, this more hybrids, that, especially Toyota, GM. Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says, I like the Tesla mobile connector. It was already in J1772 1450 land for the Volt. So it just kept using the third party plug-in for a home charger. Yeah, that's a good idea too. I did that for quite a while. I just adapted my charger with the adapter. But then one day I had the opportunity to install the 80 amp charger, and I did. So nice. And so then the UMC goes with me now. And when I am done with the car, I will keep it because Tesla doesn't include those anymore. uh, yeah, that's a weird choice, and that was the only reason I included the article. I didn't even read it. Let's see. Coming to the United States, however, the previous generation came to life way back in 2007. It's going strong. That might change soon as the EU updated cybersecurity law will reportedly prevent Fiat from selling almost 20-year-old ICE urban runabout. One solution: convert the 500e to run on gasoline. Where's the engine made? But that's a cybersecurity challenge. Only available in electric vehicles coming next year. Cruise generation. Might change soon. It must be like the engine is built in Russia or something. It seems counterintuitive how Fiat had its sights on only offering the 500 as a battery-powered vehicle. The market reality is that the old combustion-powered model is still a strong competitor in Europe. According to JTO, a little over 170,000 units of the Fiat and Abarth 500 were sold last year in Europe, of which 109,000 were gasoline. So almost all of them. First large suppliers asking if it could help with the annual production increase. Models to live on countries where cybersecurity requirements are more lenient, including the United States. What is this cybersecurity requirement thing? What does that have to do with the combustion? I am not tracking this part. What does that mean? All right, let's ask Spicy autocorrect because unless one of you guys knows. This has a price advantage due to the integration of their products. Absolutely, Omar. Uh, Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says Nevi needs to have a no icing provision. I agree. If site owners don't tow blocking cars in their spaces, they shouldn't be getting the boost in property value. 100%. If you want a slow version of our new Dodge Charger, you can have a turbo V6 one. Yeah. All right, so click on generate page summary, makes it private, and then I'll ask it, what is this about cybersecurity? All right. It might not be right because it is spicy autocorrect. The connection between cybersecurity and the combustion engine option stems from the new EU regulations. The EU normally types too slow. There was too fast. The EU reduce emissions. The EU has been working on a comprehensive set of laws to reduce emissions and promote greener energy sources. Part of this initiative includes the fit for a 55 package. It's not cybersecurity though; it's just climate security. Fit for 55 package, which aims to make the EU climate neutral by 2055. Okay, that's still not cybers, unless it means that they're not susceptible to getting hacked for oil. I guess I don't know. Part of this crucial package is phasing out the sales of new polluting cars and vans by 2035. However, there's a twist. The EU has also adopted the Cyber Resilience Act, which introduces a mandatory cybersecurity requirements for all hardware and software that could impact vehicles. Okay, so it's like a law sandwich. This act could potentially affect the production and sale of vehicles with internal combustion engines as they might not meet the new cybersecurity standards. So just by accident or on purpose, but a side effect? In response, manufacturers like Fiat are considering options such as converting electric cars like the 500e to run on gas as a way to comply with both the cybersecurity requirements and the market demand for combustion vehicles. What sort of concerns make them a cybersecurity challenge? The one thing I like is this one makes notes and everything. Bad thing is I'm about to close this tab, and so I can't come back and look at them later. I think it's just the old architecture is what's going to tell me. Particularly as vehicles became more connected and reliant on software. Yep, it's going to be the platform itself, not the combustion, which is why you can then put the gas car into the EV, which is designed from the ground up to comply at great expense. Yes, the ECUs must communicate securely. Okay, there's the cybersecurity part. They don't want the cars getting hacked all over the place, and I like that. But it's not really an anti-gas car thing. It's a dumb legacy code thing. Like automakers just don't operate like tech companies. That's both good and bad in some cases. Remote access control, regulatory compliance. Okay, so just those ancient platforms that we see, but they still try to put a new paint color on and call it a day. I wonder what these people do for work. Yes. So the Giga Berlin protesters aim to build more tree houses, and with that, and these are not the terrorists that burnt the place down, as far as we can tell. And by burnt the place down, I don't mean the factory. I mean the substation that serviced the factory and several other homes and businesses nearby. All right. So in a part of the factory grounds that have the cardboard factory, the cardboard tree farm, they are building tree houses so they can protest Tesla cutting down the cardboard forest. Even though, as they cut down the cardboard forest, they plant 3 times to 4 times as many new native hardwood trees rather than the softwood pulp factory on the grounds, uh, which is surprising because car companies moved fast and broke things first. Yeah, that's a good point. They used to be the tech mindset, and then I guess they got comfortable. But yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't considered until you pointed it out. They look at Ford, brought the modern assembly line to automobiles, and they definitely did tweak the modern assembly line and make it work in other industries, that sort of thing. Interesting. And then they were making new cars every year, like the phone companies used to do, where you had to get a new car every year, every other year to get what you wanted. And then, well, I guess the phone companies have gone the same way too. They rarely introduce new stuff. You can go 2 years to get new stuff, 4 years to get new stuff. Only getting it because you broke the old one. Oh, you're right. They got regulated. That will do it. If the regulations are stifling, then you'll just do the bare minimum to comply and do whatever you need to do to keep that money factory rolling. Yeah. Although you would still think there'd be a incentive to be the one that innovates, assuming you're innovating in ways that your customers want. So there were some comments on this that were interesting. Build a treehouse in the monoculture forest at the cardboard forest. Should be noted this stop testing initiative argued that they were not involved in the Vulcan. Yeah, they're pointing out we weren't them. We didn't firebomb the place. Uh, electricity pylon suggests that it was a power pole. It was not a power pole. It was the substation. They should have noted they intend to stay in the forest for a long time, even if new requirements make it impossible for us to protest. We will stand in Tesla's way beyond the 20th of May and stay here. So they were granted a stay until May 20th of next year, is what I'm understanding. And Tesla's expansion plans don't yet involve that portion of the grounds, so they won't be able to actually hold up by physically standing in the way. They won't be able to hold up Tesla while they camp in the trees for a year. I need to find some of those comments. They stated what I was thinking better than I can articulate it. The Stop Tesla spokesperson also noted that the group is planning to build more tree houses. So far, about 80 activists have occupied a part of the forest near Giga Berlin, as noted in the BZ report. Initial batch of tree houses was reportedly built by the activists around the end of February of 24. Trying to save the trees, the nailing a shanty into them, promote their good health. If the trees are so important to you, don't you want good, sturdy German trees at 3x planted in their place instead of a cardboard farm? And like the tweet said, what do these people do for a living? How can you afford to take a year off to live in the trees to fight these trees getting cut down when Tesla has obligated themselves that for every one they cut down, they put 3 new ones in place? 3 new native hardy trees. Interesting. Unfortunately, for the Stop the Tesla initiative, an administrative court allowed the camp to stay in the forest for the time being. This was against the demands of the police, which the police are like, no, which has stated the tree houses must be dismantled due to potential safety concerns. So it's not even Tesla. The police are like, hey, get that garbage out of here. The administrative court noted that the general considerations put forward by the police headquarters to justify the requirements regarding the incompatibility of the protest camp, including the tree houses, with nature conservation. Yes, these tree houses are not compatible with nature conservation. And building regulations, they definitely don't qualify for building regulations. For the danger forecast under building regulations for the danger forecast required under assembly law are not sufficient. So they're saying these buildings are not permitted and not up to code. Go figure. The Brandenburg police have responded by filing a complaint against the court. Okay, so they've appealed before the Berlin Brandenburg Higher Administrative Court, as noted by the BZ. A Ministry of the Environment, Building Authority, and the Forest Authority would likely be required to discuss the camp's potential dangers in detail. Yeah, I mean, aside from the danger to the plants themselves, there's a danger to anyone staying in, under, or around these structures. It's not your family's backyard treehouse that was actually built with some care. These are hastily built so they can protest out. I spent many years living in Berlin, and no sensible company should be investing there unless they want drama, disruption, and bureaucratic headaches. Plenty of people don't want capitalism there, so don't give it to them. They'll reap what they sow. One of their grievances was that Tesla employees' human waste wasn't treated enough. I wonder where the protesters' waste is going. I'm looking at all the pictures of these tree houses, and there's not a porta potty in sight. Are they just digging holes and allowing it to seep into the water table? He's using their argument against them. It's this whole because their whole point is that Tesla employees poop too much, and that's what it boils down to. We've talked about this before. Yeah, I've dramatically oversimplified it there. There's too much phosphorus and nitrogen going into the sewer plant from the Tesla plant, and that phosphorus and nitrogen comes from the employees flushing the toilet and from the whatever water is used in the kitchens. And as we talked about before, that same amount of people at the same spot in just a regular office building would emit the same waste. And it can only go up from there, because if you go from an office building to another plant that isn't the Tesla plant, if they don't commit to 100% recycling, then there would be whatever industrial stuff is allowed to go through the sewer would also be in there. So these people are either hypocritical or super myopic, and they can't see the forest for the trees. Yeah, I did it. Yeah, my dad jokes. They're missing the big picture here. They're so focused on saving the cardboard forest that they are blocking electric cars, which help reduce the emissions, because they're not going to stop people from driving. So would you rather them have an electric car or a combustion car, or an electric car built by a company that doesn't really care about the environment? And would you rather save these trees that were planted as farming material, as pulp, or would you rather then plant good hardy trees that are from your country, from your area, in their place? And then, to turn it in a little bit tighter, as this person said, Philip D., in addition to these things not being up to code, what are they doing with their own human waste? Because at least Tesla's sending it to the sewer plant. What are they doing when they had to go to the restroom? That wasn't the only one, but that was the one that summed up everything that was racing through my head the best. Is there another one here? I just don't worry, the feral pig population is up in that area. That's why they're on trees instead of on the ground. Any bets they are drilling into the trees? Given what we know about the water, there is no water issue there. The only complaint is Tesla wants to cut down part of a tree farm. That said, Tesla should plant more trees on their property to fill it in now the factory is there. And then KW points out that Tesla replanted 3 times as many trees as were cut down to build Gigafactory Berlin. They've done their share and continue to. These people aren't terrorists, maybe, but they have pretty close ties, I'm sure. This person thinks that there is a fake protest. They're not environmentalists. Industrial espionage. Yeah, they could be spies, but I don't think it's spying, but rather disruption. Dan says slow claps. Yes, exactly. You can't win with these stupid tree huggers, he says. And not all tree huggers are like these people, just like not all environmental activists are environmental terrorists, like we saw at Kicker Berlin a couple weeks ago. Makeshift tree farm, makeshift tree, a makeshift tree house in a pulp farm isn't much of a fortress. True. I wonder when the wildfires will eventually start. And I'm not wishing anything on these people, but like I'm saying, my like on that was like, what if that happens? They are not ready for this. Are the boring companies flamethrowers actually sold out? And yeah, I would not argue that Tesla should be out there antagonizing these people. It was just humorous, as was the correction that they are not flamethrowers. Shanty fields on private property, how environmentally friendly. Make sure you have running water and toilet facilities. I'm not surprised that'll happen. Festivals have running water and toilet facilities, but as the other person said from looking at the pictures, this ain't no festival. And this might even be our tweeter that we clicked in on. Who is financing this anti-Tesla group? Please need to look into that. Germany, if funded, and likely Russians. Oh, it could be, yeah. Because if Germany is hurting, then that makes Russia happy, historically. Anti-nuclear power, anti-everything that threatens Russian gas and oil exports. That's a good point, because they were right up there with France as far as their nuclear capabilities, nuclear power, and now they're back to burning methane and coal. That's been going on for decades in Europe. The Russians actually found some of the most rabid environmental groups in Europe because they sick them on energy projects, and they aren't energy projects that aren't Russian, says James Carfano, Vice President of the Catherine and Shelby Cullum Davis Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy at the Heritage Foundation. Okay, so this isn't just some conspiracy theory. This is this is an actual group that is tracking in on this. Interesting. I don't think it's competitors at this point, but Russians does make sense. All right, so continuing on, we've got another story here. Blinkety blink. And this is what I was talking about with my questioning with what happens when your car adds or removes a third-party Tesla supercharger to the map for supercharger customers. Rivian screens now display the live charging costs at Tesla supercharger stations. So this isn't exactly the same thing because it's not the map we're talking about. This is even better. In your Tesla, if you click on a supercharger, it'll tell you the costs. Now, Rivian has taken this a step further than what others have done. You plug your Rivian into a supercharger, and it doesn't just count your kilowatt hours and your miles and your minutes. It live ticks the price, just like a friggin' gas pump meter. And that's pretty cool. So it'll say something like, this cost you $4.08 up till now at this charging session. And I think that's really cool. The charging experience for Rivian owners and pretty much all non-Tesla owners is on track to improve after the rollout of the supercharging. This gives the Rivian owners access to 15,000 supercharger stalls across the US. But Tesla and Rivian aren't stopping there. On X, the popular Rivian focus handle called Rivian Tracker posted a small new addition to the Rivian screens. When the EVs are plugged into a Tesla supercharger, the real-time charging costs are now displayed on the gauge cluster and the central information display. Oh, okay, so you don't have to be in the driver's seat to see the price ticking up. I like that. Might not sound like a big deal, but it's certainly an intuitive add-on. Yeah, I mean, that is a quality of life, quality of enjoyment of the platform situation, especially since the Tesla, up until the V4s, don't have screens on them. And the V4s in the States don't even power their screens on. So how would you know, aside from pulling out your app, what's going on there? Right there on your screens. I like that. Zach says, we have this live pricing in Tesla for a long time. And that's what I was suspecting when I was kind of like walking back some of my words as I was saying it, because I'm like, wait, anybody who has to pay for the supercharging probably has it. Mine just always says 0, except for when Elon reaches in my pocket because I have overstayed at a supercharger. Or apparently now, even me with the not just overstaying, but charging past 80 is coming up at the congested sites. We'll see what that is. And It was kind of weird the last time it happened. Normally, they were a little quick about it, but this time, like, they emailed me about it and they warned me about it. And then, like a week later, I got a charge from the credit card company for the $6 they got me for. Uh, uh, what happened there? Why did I get? Oh, I remember what happened there. I was talking. Tesla time still exists. So, welcome aboard, Rivian. And as Zachary said, if you've already got a car that doesn't have free supercharging for life, you've had this for ages. I knew they had the total at the end. I didn't realize they had the live tracking. I like that. But like I said, as I was talking, I suspected they had to, because why would they not have it? Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says, taking Tesla market price view of it. If you have to ask, you're right. You're right. That was $20. Oh, it was $20. Ah, good times. So with that, I want to thank everybody for your time here today. I want to thank our channel members for your continued monetary support of the show. I want to thank Zach for your little hits in the arm every now and then. I appreciate that. And we will catch you guys next week, as well as on the Tesla Life show. Oh, Zach did it again. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. $4.99. I'm on a road trip and the wife is driving. Thank you for a great show. And so, as I was saying, thank you all for helping to help us stay online doing this thing. It's quite fun, and I love doing it every week with you all. And we will catch you on the flip side. But on Monday, we've got a Tesla Life Express episode coming out, and then on Wednesday, we'll be live on the Tesla Life show. And we still haven't heard from Russell what's going on with the What Drives Us show, and I think it's gone. So, Miss All Car Lunacy says waving and thumbs up. All right, I'll catch you all later.